Welcome to the final round of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Super Series. You're joining us here for a very autumnal looking Donington Park. Now, as ever, we have got Josh Jackson and Jake Bailey putting it on the front row, and their rivalry has been one to watch this season. But they will have to fend off 22 cars on track this time round, which is the biggest grid we've seen all year. So, with that to play for, we're going to hand it straight over to Andy to run you through all the action.
Thanks, Lyndsay. It's been a fascinating battle, this, hasn't it? And they're on the front row together again. Jackson ahead of Bailey this time. Breland and Kell on row number 2, with Sam Bailey and Gary Townsend on row 3. Alec Livesley and Jeremy Crook, twice a podium finisher this year. They're on the 4th row, ahead of Joseph Marshall-Burks and Patrick Collins to round out the top 10. Then it's Jeff Gurrier and Simon Fleet ahead of Tom Smith and George Grant, with Bradley Kent and Russ Lyndsay making up the 8th row of the grid. Then Richard Norris, Will Stowell, Liz Walton, David O'Reilly and Rob Cox, with Jude Worley making her Super Series debut at the back. So the lights go out, we're away and racing for the first time this weekend. 20 minutes around the Donington Park National circuit, a circuit that always produces good racing. We're expecting the same here this weekend. It's Jackson that leads them down towards Redgate for the first time. James Kell there, the green car getting boxed in a bit. There's contact there between George Grant and Jeff Gurrier. Not once, but possibly twice as they go through Redgate and descend upon the Craner curves for the first time. Jackson leads, Bailey 2nd, Breland 3rd, and Alec Livesley, I think that is 4th, ahead of Gary Townsend 5th. And Patrick Collins from 10th on the grid is going for 6th here at the inside of James Kell and goes through. So Kell drops down into 7th position, the rest of them filing through. They're the two Clapham North liveried cars together. Lewis Kent just about in front of George Grant as they make their way up the hill for the first time. Number 99 is Joseph Marshall-Burks, who's got Tom Smith behind him. Car number 58, Breland and Livesley side by side there. That's the 3rd position, and that was Alec Livesley trying to go around the outside of Richard Breland, I think, in towards McLean's. Gary Townsend closing in on a pair of them, trying to take advantage. Livesley sideways again as they go through Coppice. He's almost off the road, hands away his chances of 3rd place, and I think lost 4th to Gary Townsend as well. Yes, he did. So Townsend gets himself in an extra position. Livesley down to 5th, and then it's 3 abreast for 6th. Look at this, James Kell on the outside. Patrick Collins there was sort of stuck in the middle for a moment, and Sam Smith, I think that was, trying to come up. Sorry, Sam Bailey, excuse me, trying to get to the inside and backed out of it in that silver and yellow number 107 car. Sam Bailey started 5th but has dropped down the order slightly. At the head of the field though, his son Jake is all over the back of Josh Jackson, the 72 car, as they head in towards Redgate Corner for the 2nd time of asking. The wider line in for Bailey can sometimes equal a quicker way out, but Jackson hanging on. Bailey 2nd, then the gap back to Breland in 3rd position. Richard Breland's been getting quicker and quicker as the year's gone on. He's 6 times he's been on the podium this year. On 5 of those occasions he was 3rd. He had that one 2nd placed finish a bit earlier on in the season, did Richard Breland. And he's been very consistent over the 2nd half of the year. Can he now potentially build that up and try and go for that first victory? That 2nd place finish he had was way back towards the start of the year at SNETTERTON. A quiet spell in the middle, and then the podiums have started to come thick and fast recently. 2 podiums from the 3 races at Rockingham last time out, a pair of 3rd place finishes. He's in 3rd again now. Townsend 4th, then Livesley and Kell making up a 4-way fight here for 3rd position. You can see James Kell out there really well as well. He was quick last time out, got his season best result at Rockingham with a 4th place in race number 1. He's been getting quicker as the year has gone by. There's a car in the gravel further back. It's either George Grant or Bradley Kent. One of the Clapham North cars have gone off, unfortunately, at Coppice Corner, as Alec Livesley throws one at the inside of Gary Townsend. They both hold each other up, and James Kell, the man I was just mentioning, the green number 33 car, could pick his way past one of them at least. He's alongside Townsend as they cross the start-finish line. At the front of the field, Jake Bailey again is weaving this way and that to try and get past Josh Jackson, but it's side by side behind them under the braking in towards Redgate, and still Kell it is that has the advantage. So he does go through. In fact, he gets himself ahead of Townsend, took advantage of Livesley going through and followed him straight by. The Clapham North car that we saw going off, by the way, earlier on, I believe has rejoined. Not sure though actually whether it was George or Bradley that went off, so we'll pick that out for you as soon as we can find out. Whoever it was, they were remarkable in being able to dig their way out of that gravel trap. Patrick Collins there, starting to close in on this group. As Alec Livesley now comes under pressure here from James Kell. James Kell, who I was about to say had a big accident a week ago at this part of the circuit, was involved in a multi-car accident, unfortunately, in the MX-5 Super Cup. Now in this Super Series season finale, he's got the car back in one piece, which is the main thing, I suppose, for him. But for us, it's just good to see that he's in one piece, and clearly not suffering any ghosts from that incident. He's out there going as quickly as ever, in fact quicker than ever, some would say. He's inside the top 5 and could be in a potential position to at least equal his season best finish in this one. He's got Townsend behind him as they head into the chicane. This group of cars getting ever closer together now, fighting over 4th place. Lindsley, Kell and Townsend being caught by Patrick Collins and Sam Bailey, I think it is, isn't it, behind. This, though, is the fight for the race lead, and for the 3rd lap in succession, Jake Bailey forces Josh Jackson to defend into Redgate Corner. There's been nothing to choose between these two all year long, actually. Josh Jackson has the more wins. He's won 10 times this year, whereas Jake Bailey has won 6 races. So Josh cannot be beaten as far as number of race victories this season is concerned. But Jake has arguably been the more consistent. He's had 16 podium finishes, whereas Josh Jackson has had just the 15. So they're almost level on podiums. Josh Jackson has more race victories, and of course with no points to play for in the MX-5 Super Series, Josh Jackson will very much be focusing on that, I think, the number of race wins, and knowing that he cannot be beaten down to that number of victories. These two, though, have been in such dominant fashion this year that really no one else has had a look in as far as the victories are concerned. Only Brian Chandler has managed to win races this year, apart from these two, and he swept the field at Anglesey a couple of rounds ago in the wet and slippery conditions over in North Wales. Brian Chandler went to win all 3 races, but other than that, these two have won every other one. And a remarkable 16 wins between them from the 19 races we've had so far. Back out of the chicane they go, across the start-finish line. And I tell a lie, of course, I beg your pardon, Tom Collins won a race back at Cadwell Park as well, Tom will want me to point out. So yes, 4 different winners, sorry, we've had so far this season. These two have certainly won the bulk of the races. I didn't think the maths added up when I did that all together in my head. Yes, Tom Collins did take that win in the middle race at Cadwell Park. Jake Bailey it was who won the other 2 races that weekend, and he would quite like to win maybe all 3 this weekend at Donington Park, because I think I am right in saying that whilst Josh Jackson has done the hat-trick on a couple of occasions, he won all 3 races at SNETTERTON earlier on this year, and he went and won all 3 at Donington Park as well in the middle of the year, back in June. But Jake Bailey has never won all 3 in a day. In fact, no one has other than Josh Jackson. Bailey won 2 races last time out at Rockingham and finished 2nd in the 3rd one, less than 1/10 of a second away from completing the hat-trick. So you will now see this, obviously, as his last opportunity to do that. It's right with Jackson still, and is likely to stay with Jackson for the remainder of the race, but whether he'll find a way through, who knows. On way to go in this one though. Richard Breland there, you can see in 3rd, is sort of in no man's land now. He'll be hoping that these two start to trip over each other a bit more, maybe give him the opportunity to close in. Jackson and Bailey for now, although we've seen Jackson defending a little, he hasn't been defending as heavily over the last couple of laps. Bailey gets a good exit from the chicane though, and the slipstream effect around here is profound, so he will be right with Jackson again as they go towards Redgate. Josh therefore defending the inside line. Bailey will sweep to the outside. Yep, there he goes, right on cue, as wide as he can to try and get this switchback manoeuvre, try and take as much speed off the corner as possible, but he just doesn't seem able to turn underneath Jackson at the moment. If he could execute that, then he would be able to get through into the race lead, surely. But Josh Jackson is fending him off at the moment without really having to defend too hard. That's the only part of the circuit where he really seems to need to move over to the inside. So Bailey staying in behind him in that 2nd place as they head up through Starkeys, Donington Park National Circuit. I regard it as one of the most exciting circuits in the country because it's so fast. The slipstream keeps everyone nice and close together, and because it's so wide, you can run side by side through pretty much every corner on the track until you get down to that pinch point at the Robert Chicane at the end of the lap, which is often the scene of drama. It really produces some of the most exciting, some of the closest racing you'll see anywhere on the planet, especially in Mazda MX-5 racing, being these Mark 3s that race in the Super Series and the Super Cup, all the Mark 1 cars, and the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Mark 1 Championship still entertaining about 70 plus drivers here this weekend for their season finale. That's proving as popular as ever. The Super Series now an important part of the Mazda racing ladder within the BRSCC as a sort of stepping stone between the Mark 1 Championship and the super competitive Super Cup Championship, which concluded here a week ago. These two have been involved in their own private battle all year long, and they are continuing to be embroiled in that battle here at Donington Park, as again Josh Jackson, as ever is the case, has to defend the lead into Redgate. But you see there how he doesn't run wide on the exit, and Bailey is not able to turn any tighter than him on the exit, so Jackson is just able to hang on. Jake Bailey, though, the darker coloured car, following his every move, and all it will take is one small slip-up for Jackson, and that will be Bailey's opportunity. They're about to put a lap on Jude Worley, who is the daughter of Ray Worley, who himself was a very experienced MX-5 driver. For a long time was the driver's rep of the MX-5 Super Cup. He and his Aura Motorsport squad are helping to run Jude this weekend in her debut in the series. They're about to pull a lap on her, and as they arrive on her tail, the lead battle is going to be made with his most intense, because that was a bit of a mistake there for Josh Jackson at the Plains. He got a bit out of shape, lost momentum up the hill, and Bailey almost got the overlap into Coppice Corner. Catch Worley, I think, down the chicane, which is really the worst part of the circuit to catch her. No, she'll move out of the way. Nicely done there from Jude. Lets them both through. In fact, they both get back over onto the racing line before they hit the brakes at the chicane as well. So that really didn't impede them at all. If anything, it's Richard Breland in third who's going to lose the most time potentially. Look at that, Bailey. Closer than ever he has been across the line, but the inside line is always going to be covered by Josh Jackson, so Bailey's going to have to go to the outside unless he sells him the dummy, which he does. Jake Bailey up the inside, and that was a beautiful manoeuvre. He just about found a gap, but he runs a bit wide on the exit. Jackson tries to fight back again, and I think he will be back up the inside through Hollywood, but that was Jake Bailey trying to do what he's been trying to do for the last several laps, to find the inside line at Redgate Corner, and it worked for him that time around. So Bailey went through, but Jackson was trying to fight back as they went down the hill. For the time being, we focus on the James Kell, Sam Bailey, Alec Livesley and Gary Townsend squabble behind. Through Redgate Corner, through the old hairpin, excuse me. There's the quick right-hander at the bottom of the hill, and James Kell at the front of this group, but struggling to stay there. I think this is, I reckon, the fight for fourth, isn't it? Because Richard Breland is somewhere up the road. At the front of the field, though, look at that, Bailey has held on, so Jake Bailey holds on to the lead then from Jackson in second. Can he now escape? That's easier said than done, though, I would say, in this series, especially around this circuit, especially when we're talking about Josh Jackson and Jake Bailey, who are magnetised, it would seem. They are inseparable and have been all year long. We've seen a similar story in the Super Cup, actually, between Luke Herbert and Jack Harding. They were tied together right the way into the last race of the season. These two likely to do the same sort of thing. Equals the fight for fourth. It's actually fifth place that could change hands. Alec Livesley looking to the inside of Sam Bailey. Gets to the apex first. Nice move there from Alex. So Alec Livesley moves ahead of Bailey, who lost a bit of momentum through the chicane as a result, and so Gary Townsend closing in. There are yellow flags I see in the background. Oh, there's a car that's pulled off somewhere down the exhibition straight. We'll get back to that in a moment, though, because for now we watch Gary Townsend as he goes up the inside nearly of Sam Bailey. Sam turns across his bows. Bailey yet to win a race this year, actually, but Sam has been on the podium 6 times. Doesn't look likely to recreate those sort of results in this race, but there are 2 more races to go today. All 3 races crammed into one day this weekend at Donington Park. It's a busy, busy time for the Super Series teams and drivers as they round their season off here on the Donington Park National Circuit. A championship has taken them from Brands Hatch to Snetterton, Cadwell Park, Alton Park, Silverstone, Anglesey and Rockingham. It all ends here at Donington. The battle, though, is certainly far from over. Jake Bailey is not able to escape Josh Jackson, which isn't a great surprise to anybody. And I would say that Richard Breland is maybe getting a bit closer to them now as well, as they start to fight ever harder for this race lead. And if they continue to fight, and something tells me they might, then Richard Breland is only going to get closer. So we've been enjoying this head-to-head battle between these two. What they didn't necessarily plan on was it becoming a 3-way battle. Yes, Richard Breland was significantly quicker than them that time around. And so Bailey in the lead from Jackson, but they're about to have company. I think Jackson looks to the inside at Redgate Corner. Just a late little jink up the inside line, but Bailey seems good on the brakes there, doesn't he? The one time that he was given the inside line and he made it stick, so clearly he is confident under braking. That means that he was hard to defend from, but he's also going to be hard to attack down towards Redgate, because Jackson is going to struggle to outbrake him, I think. Oh, but Bailey gets sideways. That could be Jackson's opportunity. Look at that, a mistake through the old hairpin. Just a bit too eager on the loud pedal there, and Jackson, well, actually, I was surprised he didn't gain more momentum on him then. As they go up the hill, he looks to the inside line, but he can't get there, so that was a missed opportunity. Looked as though Jake Bailey just handed him the keys to the race lead again. Didn't happen, so Bailey survives that moment. Josh Jackson still stuck to his rear bumper though, less than a car length behind, and with that sort of pressure being applied, it's all too easy to make little mistakes. And you'd have thought that it will only take a little mistake for Jackson to go through. Down the hill they come, Breland getting ever closer in their mirrors. Traffic as as well. I can see just a glimpse of a car flashing through there, but Bailey's car doesn't seem quite as happy now, does it? When he was chasing Jackson, he looked like the quicker, but now he's out in front. Now he's the one punching the hole in the air for Jackson to enjoy. His car looks a little bit more ragged, doesn't it? He's really having to push on. Down towards Redgate they go. David O'Reilly is the man they're about to put a lap on, and now it's role reversal from earlier in the race where it was Bailey lap after lap going to the outside of Jackson into Redgate. Now it's the other way round, but Jackson does seem able to turn tighter, not quite enough to get up the inside there, but I think that could be maybe his opportunity to go through, especially if Bailey is struggling for rear end grip, because it'll be in the acceleration zones out of the corners that Bailey is maybe struggling. So Jackson with him needs to get through though quickly, because ever since Bailey got in front their pace has been slower and Richard Breland's been able to close in. Bailey though ironically set the fastest lap on lap number 6 earlier on, and then as soon as he got through into the race lead, because he's been defending, he's not been able to go as quickly. Claims they go, they're going to catch David O'Reilly on the exit of the corner, and he chops over to the inside line. Bailey certainly lost out there, and Jackson gets alongside, but Breland is with them as well. Jackson on the grass there as he went up the hill, but it's well and truly a three-way fight for the lead now. Through Coppice Corner they go, and Breland is with the tighter exit, trying to get up the inside of Jackson, can't quite do it. Weaving this way and that, dives back to the inside, to the outside again, why not? And Breland almost on the grass there, such was the ferocity of his move from right to left. Stay in the same order, and this of course will take some of the pressure away from Jake Bailey now, because Richard Breland I don't think he's going to be able to get through easily, but he's certainly applying the pressure to Jackson. Jackson can no longer focus entirely on what's going on in front of him. Instead, he needs to focus on the car behind, which is starting to really bring the heat. Richard Breland has caught these two pretty rapidly over the last few laps with their battling that's been going on, and now Richard can sense an opportunity, maybe, for a first win of the season, a first ever win, in fact, in a Mark 3 MX-5 car. Down the hill, through the crane occurs. Breland with a nice tight line. His car seems to be handling really well, doesn't it? But Bailey's does not. He's wide again through the old hairpin, and it's holding Jackson up. Richard Breland almost alongside as they cut through Starkey's, that first left-hand kink, then up towards the sweeping left at Schwantz curve, which is difficult because you then have to brake whilst turning left before flinging it back to the right-hander at Claims. But that's where Josh Jackson seems stronger. Again, he tried to just cut underneath Bailey there. This is a fascinating battle. This is the psychological battle between these two has been raging all year long. And they're right back together again now, fighting for the race lead here into the closing stages, though, of the opening race of the weekend. It's a three-way fight for the victory. Which of these three is going to take the win? Down the hill they come, into the chicane for what isn't going to be the final time, but one of the final times. Curve for Bailey and for Jackson. We use the first curve. You don't really want to use that second curve, though. That one is a bit more of a sweeping corner, so it tends to unsettle the car a little bit more. Across the line then, down towards Redgate once again. Penultimate lap by my reckoning this could be. And Jake Bailey fending off Josh Jackson, or is he? Jackson's got to the inside again, and this time he might be about to go back through. Josh Jackson turned to the late apex, gets up the inside of Bailey, who I'm surprised didn't feel the need to cover that more, and Jackson with his nose in front, he's on the inside for the right-hander at Hollywood, but now we've got to go left. Bailey has the advantage for this corner and slides across in front of his season-long rival, Richard Breland, almost on the grass as he tries to join in the fun, and that will hurt his exit speed from the old hairpin, therefore relinquishing Josh Jackson, so as to be, he can just focus again now on attacking the car in front. There's James Kell a bit further back. Alec Livsley's back in front of him now, so Livsley has found his way into 4th, Kell 5th, Townsend 6th, and Sam Bailey in 7th. Josh Jackson, I thought there, had made that move stick, actually. He's tried that a couple of times. He's noticed that Bailey doesn't defend into Redgate corner, at least not quite as heavily as Jackson was doing earlier on when he was the race leader. And that was definitely an opportunity there, but it didn't quite come to pass. Sam Bailey still struggling to find a way past Gary Townsend through Coppice down the Exhibition Straight. This is again letting James Kell and Alec Livsley off the hook slightly. Oh, yellow flags, double waved yellow flags in fact at the chicane, so someone must be off. Who is it? Is it someone in the gravel trap? It's a popular place to have an off, is the Robert chicane. Can't see anyone there though, so if there is somebody off, I'm not entirely sure where they are. It's not one of the leaders though, that's good news. Bailey, Jackson, Breland all still there as they go towards Redgate corner, and Josh Jackson, Richard Breland, look at that, very sideways, but Josh Jackson right back on the rear bumper of Bailey. as they come down through Hollywood. Could not be any closer. Now the old hairpin is a potential overtaking opportunity, and Bailey's a bit sideways. Jackson looks to the inside. There's a lock-up from Bailey as well. I don't think he was quite sure where Jackson had gone then, and he didn't want to turn in and risk contact if Jackson was already committed to the inside line. Through they go, and we look back to this battle because James Kell, having been freed from the cars behind, Gary Townsend and Sam Bailey, has actually been able to latch back onto the tail of Alec Livesley. So fourth place could change hands, as could the race lead, because Josh Jackson again is right with them, and Richard Breland possibly senses a chance to get up the inside at Coppice. Not going to happen though. Still the same order, Bailey, Jackson and Breland. We've had the one lead change in this one, which was when Bailey got past Jackson about 1/3 of the way into the race. And the flags are in now. See at the chicane as well, so they've got that, whatever the car was that had gone off, it's either been cleared out of the way or it's moved itself out of the way. So as they come down into the chicane, I was a bit premature with my penultimate lap guess a little while ago, but we are now, I think, going on to the final lap of the race. They come across the start-finish line. Jake Bailey really having to defend the inside line now towards Redgate for the last time they go, and Josh Jackson pulls to the outside line, trying now not to get round the outside through the corner, but to cut back to that late apex again and get the run down the hill. Looks to the inside at Hollywood. Has he got his nose in the door? He might have done. Jake Bailey can't come across. Yes, he can. Just gets across to defend. But Jackson couldn't be any closer. They're almost pushing each other down the hill. Bailey still the leader. Through the right-hander at the old hairpin. And again, as we've seen ever since Bailey's got in front, that is the part of the circuit at which Jackson is quicker, but there's just nowhere to go. Bailey is holding on by the skin of his teeth here, and if Jackson goes for a move and it doesn't work, he does risk giving away second place to Richard Breland. Not that there are any points to worry about here, but still, a second place is better than a third place finish, but a win is better than second, and that's what Jackson's going for. He's got the inside line for Coppice. Can Bailey turn in? He can, just about. It's all about the slipstream down the exhibition straight towards the Robert chicane. It is Jake Bailey, Josh Jackson and Richard Breland. One of these three is about to win the first race of the final weekend of racing in the Mazda MX-5 Super Series. They come down towards the chicane. Jake Bailey just needs to execute this chicane cleanly, but Jackson is there with him. They're almost trading paint through the corner. Sideways for Jackson. Breland gets the run on the pair of them to the flag, and Jake Bailey will take the victory in the first race of the weekend. A brilliant drive that was from Jake Bailey. Second position goes to Josh Jackson by 1/10 of a second over Richard Breland in third. The top three covered by 1/4 of a second. Livesley was fourth with James Kell fifth, Sam Bailey sixth, then Gary Townsend, Patrick Collins, Jeremy Crook and Jeff Gurrier round out the top 10, with Tom Smith just outside the top 10 there in 11th position. Only one non-finisher from that one, that was Russ Lyndsay, who retired on the penultimate lap.
Jake, well done on your victory. You were eyeing up that move for a few laps and you just managed to pull it off.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was an interesting race, and for the first time we've been so much closer in qualifying. I think a second separated the top 7 of us, so I thought it could make for sort of some different dynamics this weekend than we've had in past meetings. So I thought that could make it quite interesting. And yeah, Richard was up with us and battling Josh, so yeah, it was really good fun.
Yeah, and a few times there you're having to defend, particularly going into the top corners there, Schwartz and Coppice. How difficult is that when you're in the lead to try and defend and not lose too much time?
Yeah, I had to defend every lap, every corner. Yeah, it's really tricky because you've got to get away from him, you've got to defend, and how big is the gap where you can stop defending? And I thought I had that gap sometimes, I didn't, and Josh was at the inside, so yeah, it's hard to tell, really hard to tell.
Well, congratulations on your victory. We look forward to seeing you out there in the second race.
Thank you very much, me too.
Josh, that was a tough race all round. Not only were you having to defend from Jake, but then towards the end from Richard as well, whilst trying to attack.
Yeah, me and Jake got away pretty well. Richard was a long way back, but me and Jake were fighting over the lead, so I knew he was going to come at some point. And then it was, yeah, a bit trying to keep him behind me and try and get a hold of Jake. So it was tough, but second will do for the first one.
Yeah, a couple of times there it looked like you were just about to make a move, or you'd got alongside him but maybe lost a little bit of momentum. Is there anything you can do to the car to try and address that for the second race?
No, I think the car's pretty good. It's almost perfect. We got a lot better pace at the end of the race than the others. So try and get to the lead in the final half of the race and we might be able to pull away. So we'll see what happens.
I look forward to seeing you out there. Cheers once again.
Thank you.
Richard, congratulations on your third place. 2/10 covered the top 3 there going over the line, and looked like a couple of times there you were maybe looking at making a move and getting a bit further up on the podium.
I was looking, but it was going to be very difficult to get past those two. I mean, they were at it, hammer and tongs. I mean, the footage from my car will look really good, but it was really close across the line, definitely.
Going forward to the next race, do you think you can get the jump on these guys from the start and maybe battle them throughout the whole race?
I can certainly have a go. I mean, they're a couple of quick guys, so you know, I'm quite happy to stick with them and have a go if the the opportunity arises.
Well, I look forward to seeing you out there. Congratulations once again on your third place.
Thank you very much.